Myntelligence is an Italian startup, which in fact operates throughout the world. It has headquarters in London. And it's the idea of overcoming a paradox of online advertising. We have a market which is dominated by companies that we consider as OTT, over the top, Facebook, Amazon, and so on. These companies sell data to companies on the basis of a technology called cookies. This has led to a paradox which led to the birth of Myntelligence, and its mission is to overcome that paradox. The cookies are perishable goods. They only last a couple of days, sometimes a couple of hours, because in fact, big American consumers say it lasts months. But anyway, they don't allow a company to capitalize their main asset, the data bank developed by and managed by CRM. But in fact, it has developed a technology called fingerprint, which recognizes the device, the computer, tablet, or whatever. It recognizes the device being used by the user. And therefore, that implies a much longer life for those data. And not only that, we have an intelligence between the company and the CRM, and being able to recognize the device allows the company to know perfectly, interacting with special technology. Now, it allows the company to know what the user is doing, where he is, and so on. So we have a system which is based on two fundamental concepts of digital technology and big data, one on ownership and the other longevity of those data. And working in this way, Myntelligence allows companies to capitalize on its CRM and to be able to talk correctly both to its users and to its potential users, which are called prospects, and therefore to ensure that the advertising expenditure is no longer an expenditure, but is a possibility of having a capital gain. And in fact, we say that thanks to Myntelligence technology, it goes from an OPEX, from an operational expenditure, to a capital expenditure. Now, if you like, we could call it David against Goliath, our company. We are combating against this Goliath of the OTT companies, which creates a dependency on companies on their system. So we are transferring knowledge to companies, our customers, asking them to manage their own data through platforms which are based on fingerprinting rather than the platform that the OTT companies use. Let's explain this very, very simply. The two different cookies trace the sites that I visit and so on, and gives information. That's what cookies do. They give information to the company. It's old information. Well, it's not so much old information, says Mr. Passaro, but it will change very quickly because my navigating habits, if you like, change. Whereas a fingerprint is based on knowing your device, that user's device, recognizing the browser, in other words, what the browser is doing that particular moment. So it lasts as long as that device lasts, as long as I literally possess that device, computer, whatever. So the next step, therefore, is that we are traced. We are followed. I mean, where does privacy end and publicity begin? I mean, that's another issue. Yes, let me start from the other point of view. Today, privacy is threatened by Google, Facebook, and so on. It can think of a CRM, for example. I mean, that's a strategic asset, an extraordinary asset, which these companies have. It, in fact, gives a whole list of what the customers do. which can be available to a company when an OTM, in fact, comes in or enters that, they become the owners of that. What we're doing, rather, is the CRM remains the property of the company. It remains protected. So the data that a company asks of its user and the user gives, aware that he's giving data, in fact, is a greater guarantee of privacy, which does not happen when you have DMPs based on cookies, or when American companies like this can actually get into the heart of the company. Now, why do I underline the word American? Because I think that it's a European mission on our part to offset this excessive power of these American companies. This is something which Professor Prodi mentions a great deal. He gives the example in his lectures. He said once there were the caravels which allowed Spain to go around the world. The caravels are these networks today, Google, Facebook, but also we have a European caravel. Well, in fact, the network is the ocean on which we all sail, Google and everybody, but we as well navigate these oceans. But very often the hegemony, in fact, is due to ignorance. People don't understand the data. There are startups which develop new knowledge, and this new knowledge is taken onto the market, brought to the market. And the idea is to develop profit, and this means convincing the companies. We're a B2B company. This allows the companies to develop new knowledge. So we have to eliminate the background noise and therefore to overcome cookies, the paradox of cookies, and go for fingerprinting so that the advertising of a company is just not a drop in the ocean, but becomes a strategic act. And Myntelligence has created a marketplace in which companies can exchange their own data and therefore make money out of the data that they have developed.